On this episode, Dustin answers my question, what's the Fuji X100VI? And why does he want it so bad?
I'm walking the streets of nowhere. I'm playing the game with no regrets. I'm crawling out from the gutters. Clown and the Joker's all you guess.
Welcome back to Deaton Street. I'm Dustin.
And I'm Zach.
And we're talking about cameras today. Specifically, a new camera that's on the market, the Fujifilm X100VI. Now, it is the newest compact photography camera, hybrid camera, however you want to call it. It's got, let's see, I have some specs here. So it's got a 40 megapixel sensor. It's 35 mil f2 lens. For all those nerds out there, this might not make a lot of sense to some of you, but it's just kind of, it's camera talk for us. It's got in-body stabilization, fantastic. It's got a hybrid optical electronic viewfinder. That'll be important later. It's got some film simulations, so 14 film simulations. It's got 10-bit recording, 6.2K video capture, built-in ND filters. It's got a tilt-up, tilt-down screen, not really flippy. But that's just some small factors on this camera. This camera is hot right now. Like straight off the press is hot right now. Everybody's talking about it. Another thing I should note, it is also $1,600 for a fixed lens camera that will fit in your pocket.
I have so many questions. One, I would just like to kind of start off with, it's amazing to me that a year ago, all of those things that you said would have meant nothing to me. I would have known nothing. And now I have so many questions about them because I know what they mean. So that's very exciting. So first off, I have, as has been documented, I have a Sony FX30, which I think is the greatest camera to ever exist for the price. For the price
it's a great
and what
camera.
it does,
It really
right?
is.
I would love to upgrade to FX3, but those are the only cameras I ever think about. I think about the FX3 and the FX30.
Yeah.
You have a Canon...
The Canon R7.
R7.
Another camera that I work with is the Canon R6 Mark II.
Right.
But our church has one of those. And so they're kind of big brother, little brother to each other.
Yeah, they're kind of comparable to the FX line, right? Like the FX30, FX3.
Yeah.
Why in the world would you want to spend $1,600 on a camera that takes stills that has a fixed lens? You went off on me about my ZV-1 last year for having a fixed lens. And here you are saying you want to spend $1,600 on one.
So
defend yourself.
I have a few things. Okay. One, Fuji is really, really killing the game when it comes to photography. I'm not a photographer. That's something that I would want to kind of dip my toes in just for fun, not professional, literally just to take pictures and then, see what I can do, see what I can pull off. You might be saying, well, Dustin, you have this Canon camera. It's not only a video camera, it can take pictures. Yes, this is correct. The pictures that I see everyone take with Fuji, amazing. I don't know what it is, and it's probably a skill level of you got to know what you're doing. I don't. When it comes to photography, it is what it is.
Right.
It's not only a stills camera; it does have video capability.
What are the specs?
It's the 6.2K, and it's the 10-bit recording.
Huh? So it's 6.2. Like, what's the frame rate? What?
I don't know. I
It
don't have all
records at
that in front of me.
6.2K.
Yeah, 6.2K video capture and 10-bit recording, as says this dpreview.com article.
So that's better than what I have.
Uh-huh.
That's I
It's
mean,
not-
it depends. It might only be at like 24 frames a second, but I mean,
Yeah.
6K. There's a lot you can do with that.
Exactly. So the other thing is like, regardless of what the specs are on it, my thought process behind cameras like this is it's very stripped down, and it forces me to make something out of nothing. It's a
Right.
beefy camera, but I don't have to worry about what lens I put on, what settings. Like, I can literally just pull it up, and it's small. It's portable. I don't have my big old fat Sigma lens with my fat Canon camera with the cage, and it's heavy, and so that's the other thing. It's like, it's super limiting. So then it forces you to try and get the best product you can out of it.
So I like that. I like limiting factors with creativity. I think that it actually pushes you into a more creative space a lot of the times, because you're not sitting down and having 1,000 decisions to make. I mean, anytime that I go out and shoot, one of the first things that I think of is, what gear do I need? What loadout am I going to use? What setup? Where am I going to bring the action cam and put it on top? If I do, where am I going to put it? Do I need a tripod? Do I need a monopod? So I love that. I love the fact that it's limiting.
Yeah.
Here's my question though. You want to take stills, right?
Yeah.
You want something that's got a great camera, that is small, that fits in your pocket, can go
I know where you're going.
anywhere.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Oh my gosh, what is this? It's an iPhone 15 Pro.
Yeah.
What'd you say? 10-bit log shooting? Whoa, it can do 10-bit log.
Yeah.
You can also call people and text people on it.
There is an argument that I have for that. I don't necessarily like doing any video or photo on my phone. It feels wrong. I don't know, like, there's something. I take pictures all the time with my phone, whether it be for work or if I'm just seeing something, I could snap a quick picture. But there's something about like holding a physical camera in your hands and then getting a shot, whether it be video or picture. I don't know. Like, it's not cheap, but it feels cheap to do it off your phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like there's a tangible thing there. I don't know. It's weird.
I kind of know what you mean, but I also think that, and one of the reasons this podcast works is because you're a little bit more of a purist with this stuff than I am.
Yeah.
I am not a purist. I'm like use the equipment, the new equipment that will get everything done, right? So I get what you mean, because I do think that there's something tactile to having like an actual camera instead of your phone, and a little bit more creatively inspiring to having like a nice. I also think, I've seen the pictures because you sent them to me, right? Like the pictures of the camera. I think it looks cool too.
It looks awesome. It looks so freaking cool, dude. It's like it looks like a retro camera, but it doesn't look like a retro camera.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It looks like it should have film in it.
Yes.
And we can put it, it'll be somewhere down here, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll have it in the that's another thing I was looking into recently too. An actual film camera.
Oh,
Canon's got an old school. It's a AE something. It's Canon AE. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a Canon film camera, and it's specifically for that purpose. It's super limiting. I want to like try and take film pictures and then have like a shelf in the background with like a bunch of different cool cameras.
That's you want one of these. You want a shelf like that for your background, and you want the Fujifilm to be in that.
I want the Fuji. I want to go take some pictures with the Fuji today.
Yeah.
I feel like taking some film, film stock, whatever. Film stock, the Canon film cameras. Get a Polaroid camera. Polaroids are fun.
I get it. I like the idea of like, me and some friends, my wife and some friends went to Wimberley near us last weekend, would have been awesome to have a nice little camera like the Fuji X100VI.
I mean, it'd have been cool to have like one of these, right?
What is that? Is that a prop?
No.
You got props now? What is that?
No, dude.
Is it a Polaroid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's an Instax Mini 90.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I think you're more drawn to like the purist type stuff.
I like gear. I'm a gear nerd, so it's like, and then like cool things, like cool gear, like retro looking gear. I like all that stuff.
It's the purest
Do I need it?
gear.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the new Fuji. I mean, for what it's worth, it definitely packs a punch. You know, everybody's got it right now, or they're getting it. All the big YouTubers are reviewing it and everything.
Yet, right?
I think it's supposed to start shipping early March. So, I mean, within the next week or so, you know, maybe mine will come in. Just kidding. I do not have, I did not order one. Ugh.
Do you think, I mean, last thing on this, because we have like a couple minutes. So last kind of question that I have, do you think $1,600 is too much to spend on something like this when you can get an FX30 for around $1,500-$1,600? Just the body, but.
Yeah, but I mean, it also depends on what you're trying to use it for. I mean, if we're trying to do stuff like what we do, then if you want to get into the different lenses, you know, I think these Fuji cameras like this are for the people who have these other cameras that have, you know, they already work with Canon, Sony, or the other Fuji mirrorless detachable lens cameras. This is like a more for fun camera for the more professional videographer, photographer. It's just something extra to have in your pocket. You know, I don't have to worry about carrying around my big old book sack if I want to just pull that out and capture something.
Now, I guess I lied because I have one more question. Because I'm looking down at the notes. We're trying to get our act together. We have notes today. It's actually very, very helpful. I see it says 35 millimeter equivalent f2, right? So f2 is great. Yes. I think lowest I have is like an f2.8, and that's plenty of bokeh. Like it's going to look great.
I got f1.8 on the Sigma.
Is there non-optical zoom on that camera?
There is.
There what?
Is. I'll have to. I believe there's like 4 levels of zoom. Okay. So it's I think it's more of a digital zoom than anything, maybe.
So
I could be wrong.
My ZV-1 had some zoom, and then it would go into like digital zoom. And digital zoom was not the best, is how I would put it, because I love Sony and I don't want them to hate me. Not the greatest.
Digital zoom usually isn't too forgiving whenever it comes to that. But it does have different stops of zoom to simulate lens lengths and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool.
I think it's pretty cool, man. I hope that you eventually get one, because I do think it would be cool to go out and watch you shoot. Plus, I feel like if you get something like that and you start doing stills, you're gonna have to do like a D Mallett stills Instagram page. I'll have to watch that.
Yep, I will.
Yeah. Cool.
It should be pretty cool.
All righty. Anything else?
The other, just one little thing. It's got built-in ND filters. That's cool. You don't have to worry about having a thing.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that factor of it.
That is great. FX6 has a built-in ND, and that's the thing that I'm most jealous of the FX6 for. I don't like the FX6's size, but that built-in ND. So.
Yeah.
You know what? ZV-1 also has a built-in ND though, so kind of Sony.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So my topic for today is something that made me literally gasp out loud when I read it and question everything almost. So Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff. Is that I messed that up in the pre? Is that right?
I think that's how we're gonna decided.
Yeah,
Benioff
and DB Weiss are back in the news as they promote their new Netflix show 3 Body Problem. which is actually an alien show, and I kind of like
Oh.
alien stuff, so I might watch it. Might give it
Uh,
give it a watch. But I was reading a Variety article, and
Mhm.
a quote from them or from the article caught my attention. I'm just going to read it exactly like it is. So this quote from the article.
yeah.
Benioff and Weiss, who have been friends since grad school, weren't crazy about HBO's then owners AT&T, whose executives once asked whether Game of Thrones could be shot vertically so that it would fit on your phone. The company also openly discussed the idea of snackable mini episodes of the series. First off, what the heck? Part of me kind of wishes that this was completely true and it happened, because this is not last year. This is 2019. This is pre-COVID. So I kind of wish they would have done it. Put those Airy Alexas on their side and just shot
stupid.
vertically, and then release that. Because if you think the outrage for the dark episodes was crazy, imagine if they released a whole episode that was vertical. What are your thoughts on this? I know that we're kind of
Okay.
coming right back to you being more of a purist when it
A
comes
purist,
to these type of thing. Yeah, that's the nice way we'll call it.
The purist, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, so around that time, it was before TikTok, right? It was before like all the shorts and stuff really blew up.
Right.
I think
Mhm.
Vine might have been like dying out at that point or something.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Whatever.
This is
So-
before the dark times of COVID. So
Yeah.
we hadn't been all in our rooms alone yet, but
Yeah. Why, if you are a major production studio, you have the budget to have what kind of cameras?
probably Arri Alexas is my
probably Arri
assumption, yeah.
Alexas. These are the tens of thousands of dollars worth of cameras and the multiples.
Yeah, on
Several cameras on set.
on $100,000 gimbals.
On with several, tens of $1,000 lenses.
Right, yeah.
And you want to turn it what?
Shoot-
You want to
Bro, they want to shoot it vertically for the gram,
but shoot the film, shoot the show normally,
Mm-hmm.
and then just make the aspect ratio
Mm-mm.
in whatever thing.
You can't
And
do that. It's cheating.
I do it.
I can't. This is a little off topic. When I'm going through Instagram Reels, which
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing, but when I'm doing that, seeing the stuff you send me, I can always tell like the creators that are shooting vertically natively and the ones
Yeah.
that are like shooting wide angle and like making it work. I tend to
Yeah.
like the ones that are wide angle and making it work.
Yeah.
But it's just an insane thing. And as I read it, my first thought is this is not true. This is something that maybe was a joke in a boardroom that they overheard in a conversation or something like that, because it just seems like a ridiculous own goal to do that to like at the time, the biggest show that had ever existed. So I kind of wonder
Well-
if this is something that the showrunners who, have gotten blasted for the ending of the show and then got a Star Wars trilogy that didn't pan out and then
Mhm.
got like a bunch of other stuff that didn't pan out. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if this is them trying to save face and be like, hey, look, it wasn't us. It was AT&T who wanted to shoot Game of Thrones vertically.
My thought that I just had, surprise, I had a thought. Were they ahead of their time?
Oh my gosh, here we go.
No.
Like,
Were they ahead of their time with this thought? Like, they were like, hey, we think that this might actually work
Yeah.
in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Or 4.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of watching a lot of stuff on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, tilt the camera. Tilt it. Put the camera.
This is my thought. Game of Thrones is one of the last shows that was a must watch with other people. Right? We had Game of Thrones parties. You had people coming over. You would talk about it. The only time, this is going to get a little graphic, and I'm sorry to our listeners. I need to preface this. It maybe skip ahead a couple minutes.
Game of Thrones is pretty graphic.
The only time that I watch stuff vertically is when I'm in the bathroom. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to, go watch Game of Thrones in a freaking gas station bathroom with everyone lined up in a urinal together or in the stalls together. That's the only reason why vertical video is better. Is when you're sitting down somewhere and you don't have a long time to do it. I can't imagine watching an hour and a half of that really dark. Can you imagine if it was like really dark, that battle scene, and you're like, just everyone on the couch together, oh man, wow. Well, you're a little ahead of me. Oh yeah. Whoa.
Oh, wait, hold on. Pause it. I'm gonna sync the video playbacks back. Yeah. It's dumb. To view, that's borderline saying like, I want to watch Interstellar vertically on my phone. What?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
This movie, this show that is grand and massive, do you want to limit it to what size? No. Why?
Well, think about how difficult it must be to get a little nerdy here, to get like a good establishing shot vertically, where you're trying to show like the landscape and you're trying to show, even trying to show how large the dragons are and the wingspan. You can't really achieve that vertically.
It's like, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to get a pan shot. And then like you just have a snake shot of the dragon. That's it.
Right.
It's dumb. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off. It actually froze for me real quick. But I'm sure you made a great point, but we can keep going. That's how good we are, is that we just lost internet connection. We continued the conversation, and there won't be even an edit here. So my last point on this, let's say that they're not, let's say they do it. Let's say they're like, heck yeah, let's do an episode vertically. This is in 2019. You're probably not as much of a purist in 2019 as you are now. Would you have watched it?
Well, I didn't watch much of Game of Thrones to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But would that have made you watch that episode? That's my thought, is like maybe shooting it vertically would have been such a to-do and such a just huge hoopla that it may have attracted even more people to watch.
I don't know. I don't know that I would have. But I get what you're saying, though. It's like, I got to watch that. I got to see how they did it, what they did. I probably would have watched it just to see how they pulled it off.
Yeah.
Would I have liked it? Meh. I don't know.
I think we should start. That'll be our second YouTube channel, is we can recreate scenes from like Lord of the Rings vertically. just we'll act in it ourselves, and we'll just shoot it all vertically and try to make it look decent.
Oh, that would be terrible.
and a snackable mini episodes of Lord of the Rings, of Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah. So,
snackable.
Yeah, let's just
joke.
Watch Jon Snow take his dog out for a walk or something. A little snackable episode.
It's so stupid. So stupid.
It just kind of, to wrap this up, it shows how out of touch the folks that are making the decisions can be, even if they joked about that. That's incredibly out of touch. And honestly, it's a little insulting to the folks that are working on stuff.
Warner Brothers.
What, AT&T Warner. Yeah, exactly. It's not a shocker that they gave us that Flash movie. Like reading stuff like this, it's like, yeah, that's definitely the same people. But
did you see, this is a side note, just a little tidbit of side note. Did you see that Warner Brothers put out like Batman Beyond animated like stills from the guys who made Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
No.
And they were like, hey, this was in the works, but we canceled it. Here you go. Stuff like that really just upsets me.
We don't have time for me to go on this rant, but that hurts so bad because Batman Beyond was my Batman show growing up.
Amazing.
It was the show. I loved Batman the Animated Series, but Batman Beyond was it. And if they
Yep.
did a Batman Beyond either,
I'm gonna have to send you
I
those
just-
pictures. It'll make you mad because it looks good.
put them in here. Here they
I'll
are.
put them. Anyway,
So they look great.
Sorry, this is just speaking of people out of production companies out of touch with their fan base.
I think I've said this before to you. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. I think eventually large productions that aren't owned, or I guess it won't be like big IPs that are owned by large companies, but I think eventually there will be production studios that realize that they can do scripted, well-shot content on YouTube and make more money and not have to deal with other people. Right now, YouTube is full of things like this podcast, which is great. I love a good podcast. I love a good information video. I make information videos. That's my shtick on my other channel, right?
Yeah.
Lots of sports stuff. Eventually, there's going to be someone who writes an amazing script for like a short mini series that's well acted with well-known actors, and they're going to put it out on YouTube, and it's going to blow up. It's going to get millions and millions of views, have amazing sponsorships and advertisement opportunities, and they're going to realize that if you eat that production cost up front and keep it very, very minimal, you're going to get paid out a ton, and you just continue to, every time someone clicks on it, that money goes right back to the directors and the actors and the actual people doing the work, and not the people up at the top of Warner Brothers who want to shoot Game of Thrones vertically. It'll happen. I think that YouTube's the same as like television was to radio. Yeah. That's what YouTube is. We're figuring out what it is, but eventually it's just going to explode and expand, and then we won't have stupid stuff like this coming out. Any last thoughts before we move on? I kind of now I'm worked up about the Batman Beyond thing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. No, I mean, they're stupid. They're so dumb for that. They're dumb, but they could have been geniuses. We never know. You know.
Well, I mean, I don't know how the ending of Game of Thrones could be worse, but that could have made it worse.
They're like, all right, we're going to shoot the last season vertically.
Right.
And they're all going to be snackable. I'm telling you, it's going to make it so much better.
Yeah.
No.
The other part of this variety thing is that there were talks of like ending it with movies that just didn't happen. It's supposed to be like 3 movies or something like that, which honestly would have been great, but just didn't happen.
It would have lessened the time span of, episodes. It'd have been like, all right, we got that over with. We're done.
Well, I think the ending of it was rushed, and I think it would have been good with 3 movies. But I also think that, it's 2024, February of 2024, and my guy still hasn't written that last book or the second to last book. So I don't know. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Whole thing is kind of crazy.
Do you find yourself craving something sweet, cold, and made of the softest snow you've ever seen in your life? Well, you're in luck, because us here on Deaton Street know of the best place to go. Snowbees Express, located in Jennings, Louisiana, is the #1 spot to stop for all of your snow cone, soft serve ice cream, and soda on shaved ice needs. They're open year-round because here in Louisiana, we sometimes only get 1 week of cold winter days per year. So come on down to the Red Train Caboose. Yes, you heard that right, a literal caboose, located in Jennings, Louisiana, 420 Roberts Avenue. Currently, they're open 1 to 5, Monday through Saturday. You can find them on Facebook as well. To book a party, just search Snowbees Express and reach out. That's SNOB' Express.
All right.
So
we changed the format last week. Yesterday, I texted you and said we're going to change it again. We're amending it because we're not really changing it. We're still going to have three 15-minute segments, which we've done.
Mm-hmm.
But the third segment each week until it fails miserably or we can't figure out how to make it work one week is this new idea called Get It or Gimmick. And we don't have production or a production, budget to make any music. So that's what we get. What Dustin just had. Meow, meow is our new idea is to bring up, software, hardware, just different type of things that we either get as in, I understand that. I think it's a good idea. Or get it as in like, this is good. You should go buy this thing. It's going to make your life better.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side is Gimmick, things that are pretty much purely just marketing, in our opinion, for legal purposes,
Yes.
and aren't really worth the money that they're charging. Again, just for legal purposes, in our opinion.
This is our thoughts, our opinions.
Our opinions, right? So, our first thing up is something that Dustin and I have talked about a lot, and I'm gonna let him jump right into it because I have so many thoughts.
So, we are audiophiles. We love cameras. We love audio equipment. I got a while back some Rode Wireless Go 2s. It's a little lapel mic. I have them right here.
As you're opening that, this is not about Rode Wireless Pro 2s. We are
No.
a Rode podcast, but
Yeah,
I will
So-
never talk bad about Rode.
absolutely, absolutely not. I love they're extremely easy to use. Cool. Rode came out with a newer wireless lapel solution. That is the Rode Wireless Pros. Now, the main thing that Zach wants to talk about is the 32-bit float recording. I think it's great.
That's
mean,
the intro. So
That's it.
here's
I
what
think it's great.
32-bit float is. It's
Yeah.
essentially a larger. It's a larger file size, but essentially it's more of a decibel level range that the microphones can handle. So this is a little explanation that I grabbed from an article. So essentially, 16-bit audio is capable of recording sounds with a dynamic range of 96.3 decibels. 24-bit, which is larger,
Yep.
can capture a range of 144.5 decibels. Meanwhile, 32-bit float, which is what we're talking about here,
Mhm.
can capture the absolutely ludicrous range of 1,528 decibels, which
Oh
is
yeah,
that's not even. There's nothing.
everything.
Yeah, if something's 1,528 decibels, the sun is probably exploded and we're done. Like it's that
We're in
that's-
nuclear war.
That's a ludicrous. No, I don't even think nukes get up to 1,528.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It just it's too big. It's too large. So the reason that is so
Oh, my
nice for
goodness,
folks.
Why?
And he's well, I'll pause.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Can you hear me still?
I can.
Okay,
But I didn't catch what you just said though.
The reason that is such a big deal is that you really can't clip, or I say you really can't clip. You can't clip these microphones. And what clipping is once you go over the allowed decibel level for an audio recording. So if you're recording in 24-bit, if you go past that 144 decibel levels, it's going to clip and it sounds
It's gonna
crunchy
sound blown
and
out.
it's terrible.
It's gross.
And no one likes it. And if you watch YouTube videos, you're going to see a lot of it because folks just don't worry
know.
about clipping.
Yep.
So, 32-bit float. We're going to talk about, should you get it? Do we get it? Or is it a gimmick? And my argument is that it is a gimmick. And the reason I think it's a gimmick is because it's a larger file size, which is already, file sizes for audio are ridiculous. And if you're dealing with video as well, which if you have these, you probably are. Two, or I guess one, file size is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
two, learn to set your levels, people. Learn to set your levels. It's not that hard. And if you're worried about it, record a backup with no gain. 2 lines. But I mean, really, you should just be able to turn the volume on your microphone down when you're setting the volume. Now, most most professional production equipment for audio cannot handle 32-bit float. Cannot handle 32. So that means that there's going to be somewhere in there, you're going to take your 32 and you're going to have to convert it down to 24. So that's an extra step that you have to do. Now, for the Rode Wireless Pros, I'm pretty sure that extra step is handled inside the app and all that other stuff. And yeah, whatever, that's great.
Yep.
The point is, you should just learn. This is me taking Dustin's stance usually
Uh-huh.
of being an audio, truther or whatever it's called, whatever we said
Yep.
you were earlier.
Purist.
You should just learn how to set audio. Like, this is one of the things that I think actually hurts people, because there are going to be times. So like, you get the Rode, whatever, wireless
Mhm.
Pro. Just I have some, he has some, we like them. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about 32-bit float. You
Yes.
get those, you learn on those, and then you get an SM7B into an Apollo Solo. Your stuff's going to sound like trash because you don't know how to set audio levels, because you didn't have to
Yep.
worry about it before. So I just think that for me, it's marketing, it's gimmicky. It doesn't mean you shouldn't buy stuff that has 32-bit float, but I do think
Yeah.
it's one of those things that is overblown as a product
Technically,
offering.
it's not,
Okay. All right.
because it's 32-bit float. It's
And-
not blown out.
And here's...
Got you there.
You're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I am of the opinion I did it that way. I had the 24-bit recording stuff with the mics that I have, with the first wireless go-tos. It's not the 32-bit float. So I did have to learn how to set my gain. Then I figured out that I don't want to have to worry about that. And you don't have to with 32-bit float.
Yeah.
So realistically, I went and shot my video yesterday for my channel. And I do think that we're talking about 32-bit float. It does sound astronomically better.
Mhm.
And I was able to really stretch, compress whatever, not compression effects, but just do what I wanted with the audio and not worry about it clipping from the wind. That was crazy. I got a lot of wind noise, but it wasn't clipping.
Right.
The audio was still clear from my voice. I used the little lapel that was with it. I just like the idea of, if I am, let's say I do video for my church as well. So let's say I have one of the other people that work the camera. Hey, we're doing a couple of interviews with some people, blah, blah, blah. I slap those mics on there with 32-bit float. I don't have to worry about them worrying about blowing out the levels, because I'm not monitoring it.
Right.
Now, could I show my people how to set gain and everything? Absolutely. Does that mean that they will remember how to do that and get great audio every time? I would love for that to be the case. More often than not, doesn't happen. Usually I say, here's the camera, don't touch these buttons, hit the record button. I will explain to you what these buttons do later. But for now, it's set how I want it. Go with it.
But shouldn't they have the experience that we've all had? Are we going to rob them of the experience of getting back after working on a project all day and realizing that you've completely blown out all of the audio? Are we going to
See-
rob them of that?
See, now, it wouldn't be robbing them of that because they don't edit it.
Uh,
It's me that edits it. So I don't want to put up with it.
yeah.
It's to me, the 32-bit float stuff is for people who already know how to do all of that stuff. Set the gains, get your levels correct, monitor all of that.
hmm
And if you want to just run and gun, you just throw it on there, hit record, and then you're going.
Yeah.
Cool. Don't worry about it. That's why I like it. I didn't have to worry. I literally turned them on yesterday. And I've had them for a few days. I turned them on yesterday. Didn't even test it. I should have. I absolutely should have.
See? You see what happens? You didn't even test it because it has 32-bit float, so you don't even know
and
what
it
it sounds
worked.
like. Oh,
And it worked.
All right. I'm not budging here. My ruling is gimmicky. For legal purposes, that's my opinion only. But
Yeah.
is 32-bit float is gimmicky.
I think it's worth it. That's just me. There are several other audio devices that do have the 32-bit float stuff.
It's like Zoom recorders do now. I
Zoom
think.
recorders do now. The updated version of the one that I have has it. I want it. There's some like field recorder stuff that a lot of people use like on film sets. It's just like a 2-channel XLR
Mhm.
deal, 32-bit float on some of those. So, and again, if you're like on set and then you have somebody running around with the sound equipment, but that isn't editing it later,
Mhm.
just give me the 32-bit float stuff. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about you messing something up.
I guess until everything changes over, I don't. I think it's gimmicky until then.
Yeah.
So,
That's
this is
funny.
what we call a split decision, and that's that's it. We don't.
That's
We're
it.
we're not always going to agree on these. Sometimes we will. Sometimes we won't. But this one, we definitely don't agree.
Yeah.
But hey, I think that's it. We did the dang thing. We have an actual way to end the episodes now that isn't just like, oh, I think maybe. Did you hear that? I think we're done. So
I think we're finished. But maybe
exactly. So I like that. We're gonna try again with this
Yeah.
podcast. We're just gonna keep trying a bunch of different stuff until someone actually starts
Also-
watching and complaining, and then we'll, I guess, stick
well,
with something.
I mean, if you want us to like get it or gimmick, put it in the comments
Yeah.
of a suggestion, and we'll give you our thoughts on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't
might
have to be
cool.
like 32-bit float. It can be a product. It can be some software. I mean, I've definitely, I've bought software before that I thought was going to change my life, and
Yep.
certainly didn't. And I haven't touched it since. So
Yep.
I have a lot of thoughts about that. Please throw that in the comments. Let us know what you thought about Game of Thrones, and are you interested in that Fuji camera
Yeah.
thing, 100X
The
V3
X106.
7.
The
All right.
X100XYZ.
I'm gonna get out of here before I say anything else. Goodbye. I love you.
See ya.